Perfect. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us for our December Policymaker Series. I have the honor of introducing Mayor Derrick Wood from the amazing town of Dumfries down there on the eastern end of Prince William County. But before we get started, I do want to give some opportunity to our sponsor for today's event that makes this free and open to the public, not just our chamber members, but so everybody in the public can be aware of what's going on with our policymakers here in Prince William County. And I would like to introduce Holly Morello from OmniRide to say a few quick words. Holly, take it away.
Thank you, Ross. Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to take a quick moment this morning and let everyone know that at OmniRide, we adopted the concept of councils a few years ago so that we could hear from valuable stakeholders in Prince William County about their transit needs and desires. As the public transportation agency in Prince William County, we want to make sure that we aren't planning in a vacuum. So we're reaching out to our constituencies via the councils to make sure that we're getting feedback from as broad an audience as possible. And I wanted to let you all know we've got upcoming council meetings next week. The Hispanic Council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 14th from 9 to 10. And the Employer Council meeting is on Wednesday, December 15th from 9 to 10. And I will put a link in the chat that's going to take you to the page on the OmniRide website where the meeting invitations reside. And I wanted you all to know that you're cordially invited to join us for those meetings. Thanks a lot, Ross.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Holly. And again, thanks to OmniRide for being a sponsor for these Policymaker Series. Very informative for us. And now I have the pleasure of introducing a man who really doesn't need much of an introduction because I think all of us know who he is and what he has done. Mayor Derrick Wood from the town of Dumfries, a man I've grown to know really well over the past couple of years prior to joining the chamber, as well as my time at the chamber. I think Derrick is one of these people who has a vision and works hard to accomplish it. And I think that we have seen that over the past couple of years. So it's my honor to introduce Mayor Derrick Wood, who I will let update us on the town of Dumfries and give us some more insights on his plans for that town down there and all the exciting things going on. So Derrick, take it away.
Well, I just want to thank you, Ross, and all the members of the chamber, because I think the chamber is one of those important voices that a lot of people don't really take full advantage of. You know, being an intricate part of the chamber, having served as co-chair of the Veterans Council, have sitting on the education committees and served on the different committees there. I think that it's one of the most underutilized resources that we have in this community, as far as having somebody who will go to back, who understand the needs of really developing communities. So I give my hats off to all the leadership over there, everybody who serves and everybody who continues to show up, right, to the chamber. So without it, thank everybody that's here today. A special shout out to my town manager who's here with me today. Y'all give a round of applause to Keith Rogers Jr. He's the real man who does all the work. I'm just the talking head. Without this, he just makes me look good. I'm just the head. He's the shoulders, the arms, the feet, the legs, and he has the staff and the team to make it all happen. So please, y'all do show him some love. Come on now, where y'all at? Y'all ain't showing him some love. At least put some reactions in the, y'all know how to use this Zoom. Zoom is interactive. I don't know about y'all or how people do these Zooms, but Zooms work better when it's more interactive because, as energy goes, energy flows type of thing. And this is a holiday season. I'm going to give y'all this. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all bring some energy. That's what it's all about, these type of relationships. And so for those of you who don't know, Dumfries, I got to say it because I am the chief ambassador. We are the oldest continuously chartered town in the state of Virginia. Yep, and we beat Alexandria, for those who don't know, by 30 minutes to the courthouse to file our record. So we were chartered May 11, 1749, for those who are wondering, May 11, 1749. And we were established, this is important in economic development, because if you want to understand where we're at, you almost got to understand where we come from, really to really establish that vision. And when I find oftentimes as I'm out promoting Dumfries or being that chief ambassador, a lot of people don't know our history and like how we were established. And Dumfries was established on Quantico Creek, right? We were established right on the creek. If I could show y'all in my diagram here, you probably can't see it, but I have a little creek here, right? That goes out and lets out to the Potomac River. Now, most of you don't know we have this body of water now because back then they had our number one crop, or the number one economic development for Dumfries at the time was tobacco, right? How many know that this was built on a plantation, Grand Park Plantation? And so tobacco was our number one source of commerce. And so people, big ships would come in and out, and we would ship a bunch of tobacco. And so that Quantico Creek was a major port that rivaled Alexandria, Philadelphia, and New York with the amount of tobacco and other goods and stuff that would come in there. Well, when Quantico Creek silted in, right, meaning nobody came by, nobody dredged it, nobody did nothing like that. And so when Quantico Creek got silted in, it began to put Dumfries in a state of economic depression, right? And so a lot of people left Dumfries. There was a mass exodus from Prince William County as a whole. Dumfries also used to be, for those who don't know, it used to be the county seat. So we had the courthouse that used to be right a stone's throw from my office here. We had the courthouse in the county seat until that was moved to Bristol and somewhere else, and then finally where it is now in Manassas, right? And so this caused a series of events that begin to put Dumfries in a state where it was economically depressed. Somewhere along that time frame, and I don't know where in history, but the Dumfries government kind of went dormant, right? And so you had no leadership. There was no elected officials in record up until around, I think I see in the records around 1960, they start forming again, and maybe 1961, they filed to reestablish their charter, because it was seen in Richmond that the charter never was dissolved, which is why Dumfries is the oldest continuously chartered town, although you have no history of a mayor and a town council. Now, this history is important because you got to understand how we get back to this point. Now, at the time when Dumfries reformed, they kind of formed their government back up, and they did it kind of contentiously, where they didn't establish the relationships they needed so that they can reestablish their economic development, their growth in that city. And so it came contentious at the time. You know, a lot of places were going independent of counties, and you know, when you go independent, there's revenue loss in different places. So there was a fight. And so there was a lot of friction between the county, maybe, and other legislations. And that probably went, and that didn't give Dumfries, because they didn't have any friends, they had no bridges to go across, right? Dumfries then just became this sleepy little town that everybody just continued to drive through. And nobody would drive to Dumfries, you know, and it caused a problem that I guess everybody just had their, you know, and I don't know, I can't say, you know, I'm just guessing that everybody had their things and their ideas and their vision for what they wanted to keep. Dumfries has some very, they have a lot of history in Dumfries that a lot of people don't know about that's real essential. One being the Henderson House, right? Henderson House is, you know, for the Marines, it's important because the founder, the guy who built the Henderson House, gave birth to the man called Archibald Henderson. Archibald Henderson was the longest serving commandant in the United States Marine Corps, serving, I think, it was like 49 years he served as the commandant, and I should be ashamed, I should know that, but he served a long time. And that house is still erected and built in Dumfries to this day. Actually, one of our former mayors, Chris Brown, actually lives in what's called the Henderson House. So it's a very historic, and it's right across the street from where the old courthouse used to be at, which is now a barren land, which eventually I think we all should come together and put resources in, buy it, and build this all up. I know with all the partners in here, we could probably raise the funds to really have a nice old museum to re-erect the old courthouse. And our historic Dumfries, they actually have the blueprint and the model to build that up. So that would be a great project. If anybody is interested, make sure y'all email Keith Rogers and y'all like, we got some resources. Let's build this courthouse up and make this museum so we can bring back that. We also have, which the county owns here, we have what's called the Williams Ordinary, which used to be like a pub and a house that other people used to come through. And so those were kind of like the fine tune. And we also have what's called the Weems Bach Museum. Parson Weems was George Washington's biographer. He wrote about 5 or 6 different editions. He also lived in the house, which most of you know, Corey Stewart ended up purchasing in the auction. That was his house on that place there. And so we have his merchant house, which was across from the Dumfries United Methodist Church, which he was also, I guess, with a parson. I guess he was a minister or something like that. So you're at the point where he wrote George Washington's biographer. And I jokingly say, hey, this is where he came up with the idea for the cherry tree story right here in the town of Dumfries. And we actually have a marker over there that kind of says the same thing. And so it was a big merchant because that street used to be the old 234 and everything used to run all the way to the west side through where that. And we also have a museum. We have a couple of nice parks. All right, so it takes us through now what was the economic development. Now, my vision when I came on, when I got elected in 2012, is I saw that there was, from an economic development standpoint, you know, I come from a hospitality background, right? So I understand that if you want to attract people, you got to feed them, right? How many here like to eat? I'm just curious. Anybody here like to eat? Show of hands. I can't see it. Y'all got your cameras on, but I'm assuming that everybody here like to eat, and they like to go places where food is, right? Food and entertainment is some of those primary. Yeah, I see your hearts. I see your reactions now. So food and entertainment is the primary thing. And now most of you know I own a barbecue business. So
that's him. He's the mayor.
Yeah.
Oh, Justin. Wow.
There it is.
There you go.
So I have the barbecue business.
Oh, that's him. Wow.
All right. Can everybody please mute themselves?
We can hear you. Thank you. So my vision was that as I was watching at the time, Stonebridge was just now really coming up around 2012. They had built the Wegmans and they were starting to build the other things. Stafford was starting to build this. And here we are on Route 1. The top of Route 1 in Woodbridge had got widened. Triangle, Quantico had got widened. And here Dumfries was in this area where nothing was happening. There was no development happening. We were probably still is the most economically depressed area in Prince William County. If you look at the median income in Dumfries, we were sitting around $69,000, $70,000 as a median household income. And then when you looked on the county level, they were sitting somewhere around 99, a little over 100,000, probably about 6 figures was the median income. So when you got to the town of Dumfries, we were economically depressed. Why? And so I had to look at the metrics, and I didn't really understand as much, but at the time I was going through my MBA when I got elected as well. So I was going through a master's. So it was pretty great to look at all of these as I'm in school, getting my master's in business administration. And I just had a central vision for the town of Dumfries. And that vision was, and everything that all the decisions that you see I make is all tied to this one mission and its vision. And it's that I want to see Dumfries as a place that people from all over DC, Maryland, and Virginia, the DC metropolitan area, they just stopped using us to drive through, but they drive to, right? And so that's been my driving force, and you'll see to all the economic development. It's actually written in our 2030 vision statement. So if you look at our 2030 vision, you'll see some of the things that's eccentric to a lot of our economic development. It's also written in when you look at every financial policy and all our capital improvement. It's all geared towards us making Dumfries a destination place. Now, that leads to what all of you are excited about to hear some of the things that's happened. As I took over the realm in 2018, as I got the baton and the people said, okay, we want to fully commit to your vision and we want you to be the mayor. We want you to be the figurehead for the town of Dumfries. It was important that we then put the proper team together and the staffing that could help fulfill that vision. With the help of Keith Rogers here, he came in and we put together a team and we've been to establish. The first initiative was into the economic development. And a lot of people looked at this as just moving traffic around. But the road project that we have partnered with the county to manage and oversee with us was our Route 1 widening project. So this is number one for economic development for us was Route 1 widening. Now, why would you say Route 1 widening was key to economic development? That's a good question, Amy. I'm glad you asked, and I'm gonna tell you the answer to that. Route 1 widening is very important because Dumfries, for those who don't know, we're landlocked. So Route 1, and then we got Quantico Creek and the Potomac River on the other side. So most of the people that live in the town have to use Route 1 to get in and out, or they have to find a boat and try to go on Quantico Creek, which really needs to be dredged because you can't really get no boats in and out. There's a lot of hydrilla that's just like really overgrown. That's a whole nother conversation that we'll have towards the end of this, but that's a very essential to us getting out. So now Route 1 widening comes along, and with the Route 1 widening, we're gonna move the south side of Route 1 to the north side so that it connects down to Quantico. Quantico is already 6 lanes. So that will then give us the ability to take the south side of Route 1 and to make it into what we call a main street, like they have in Manassas right now. They already have a main street. And so that gives us the ability now to create some economic development around that, right? So now you move the traffic, because when 95 gets backed up, everybody jumps off of 95 onto Route 1, and we're in a position then where now we can develop our own main street. And you've seen what happened over in Old Town Manassas over the last 10 years. You've seen their downtown begin to develop as they have a solid main street program. So our number one for economic development was us being able to get Route 1 100% fully funded. Last year, because of the leadership of Mr. Rogers and his staff, we applied for what's called smart scale money from the state, and we were able to even secure additional money for any overruns. And now we're currently on the Route 1 widening project. We're in the phase of the project that's called we're in the design phase, which we're past 30% complete on the design, and then we'll be in the design, property acquisition, and utility relocation phase of that project, which will help move that project forward. We're looking by 2023, 2024 to have started that project, and to be complete around 2026, 2027 to have that whole Route 1 widening project complete. All right, any questions about that part before we get to the real juicy money making projects that we got here?
All right, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box.
Okay, we can leave it in. Now, what everybody wants to see, let me share this screen. I think this is what everybody really want to see about. Let me share this. All right, so now, this is the game changer right here. Somebody say game changer in the chat. Y'all write game changer. Like you see, I like participation. Here's the game changing project. This project here is called the Rose. Now, this project came right around the time where I just got elected mayor. There was people looking for a place to locate a class, I think this is class 2 or class 3 type gaming machines. They came to the town just looking for a place just to put, all they wanted to put was a gaming facility. And they said to me, they said, Mayor, what do you need? And look, if you ask me, right, it's all got to tie into the vision. What was the vision when I got elected? To make Dumfries a destination place. So I looked at a lot of the voids, and the main thing I told them I needed at the time was a convention center. And they looked, they say, a convention center? I say, absolutely, I need a convention center. And I said, the reason why we need a convention center is because with the convention center, it gives us the ability to bring conferences here. It gets us the ability to host different events, possibly even bring concerts. On the west side, you have the Jiffy Lube Live, you have Mansion, you have major event centers when we didn't have no event center. I say also with a conference center, we need the ability to bring in more restaurants and maybe even some other things that can do that. So out of that conversation, they say, well, where in the world would you have space to put that? I say, well, our landfill is due to close down in a few more years. Maybe you can have a conversation with the owner of the landfill to see if they're interested in selling earlier. And I gave them maybe 3 or 4 other locations that could be possible at some shopping centers. Well, I guess at the time, legislatively, because of the size of the town. Now, the town of Dumfries, let me put this in perspective for you, is only 1.5 square miles big, right? And our population at the time of that census they were looking at were roughly over 5,700 is the population. And so based on population and state law, it only allowed them to put 150 machines, which wouldn't give them the affordability to be able to build a project of this magnitude. So they needed a couple things to happen. This is where the chamber comes in play. This is where their own lobbyists and those other things, when you talk about economic development and you understand Ross's role in the chamber, you understand other people's role and why it's very essential. Because now in understanding this, the laws don't dictate not the region or the area of Northern Virginia, not nothing else. They're looking at just the size of our locality. Now, with the size of our locality being only 1.5 square mile, that's how they base the number of machines and how much revenue we could generate. So there needed to be some law changes that needed to take place as a result of that. I hope I'm not boring y'all with too much of the details, but this is, I guess this is an important like little backstory. Like people see projects most of the time when they come up and they see the shine of the projects, but a lot of people don't know how much work, how much time and how much effort goes behind the scenes before it really gets to the point where you see these projects are really come to pass. But it really, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, and it's a real commitment to all the relationships and all the plays to do this. So first thing they did was they identified, because we wanted to make sure we definitely had proof of concept and to get it in place. So they identified a shopping center vacancy and the shopping center that they're in currently is called the Triangle Shopping Center. Now, this shopping center is owned by a family who built this thing back in the 60s, the Curtis Properties, which is major around the DC metropolitan area as property owners. Matter of fact, if any of you are familiar with Washington, DC, they used to have this Curtis Furniture Company, and they built the big chair that sits down in Anacostia and actually refurbished that. So that's a little history about them. So they own this old strip mall that hadn't had any type of investment probably since 1973 was the last time it had any investment. As a council member, I remember making a motion to create a revitalization zone, and we began to talk about different incentives to get them to update this shopping center. Well, the Colonial Downs group came in and they got a particular parcel, and they have made a $5 million investment into that particular property that they're currently in, upgraded, in which created a wave of economic development just in that shopping center. It created a facelift, brand new signage, and as such, just for that shopping center. And it has been very productive from the stand. What we as a council did at the recommendation of our town manager is we took the revenue, the gaming revenue that we're receiving from that particular location, and instead of just creating new projects and new things to spend it on, we did something that was monumental that we see nobody did in Northern Virginia. First, we raised our police officer starting salary to a historic level. Starting salary in Dumfries for a police officer is $60,000. Two, to be competitive, to be able to recruit people from all around, to be able to have the very best staff and the people where they don't have any issues, and to be the most competitive, we gave our staff all the gaming revenue to the point where they don't have to pay any medical benefits out of pocket for them or their family. So we gave all our staff, to include our police officers, a full benefit package off of all the gaming. So that was historic, and I don't think it's done anywhere in any town or local governments in this area. So I believe that if you take care of people, the people will take care of you, and you'll be able to prosper and thrive. From that, we're in the situation we're at now, where now, as they got that established, at the same time they negotiated to get the to buy the landfill. Now this was a construction landfill. So this isn't like the other landfill where all of our household garbage and household waste go to. It's well over 80, 12. So it's close to 100 acres. It's not quite 100 acres. It's less than 100 acres. But the landfill portion of it that they were building on, that they're not building on, but just as landfill, is 80 acres. As a matter of fact, tonight they're going to have their final charrette. If you go to the Rose Gaming, you can just sit in on the charrettes and see what's going on. But they're going to have a charrettes to talk about designing that public park, right? So they were able to purchase this park. There's a big charrette going on to design it. But what you're seeing in this picture here is the 12 acres that didn't have any landfill. Now, if you're on 95, I don't know how many of you ever drove 95, right? Anybody here ever drove 95? So what you're looking at here is Interstate 95. Where the traffic is, that's sitting on the north side of 95. And so when you pass Quantico Marine Corps Base, you're going to see this beautiful hotel where there was just a landfill, right? And what's so big about this is, this is going to be a, let me see, I got this in here. Let's go to the next slide. Let's see what I got in here. All right, now here's the development layout. Okay, here we go. All right, here's the project overview. All right, so you got 80.5 acre public park. All right, there's going to be 175,000 square foot gaming facility. That's going to include, when you look at it, that's going to include 8 bars and restaurants. One of them will be fine dining. How many looking for fine dining down here in this area, right? So you're going to have 70,000 square foot of meeting and event space. Guess what? We don't have to go outside of the area anymore for meetings and event space because we're going to have it here. Check it out. When we have the education event, hey, we can go to the Rose. When we have our veterans event for the chamber, guess what? We can come to the Rose. Now we have a place that can fit all the major events we want to do being built right here. And I know tourism is excited about that, and we look at the park. We'll even be able to, like people that's a part of VACO, like we can start bringing VACO conferences. We can start bringing VML conferences. The military can start bringing all of those type of people. So this is just major, not only for the town of Dumfries, but this is major for the entire Northern Virginia region, what this one project is going to do. All right, so you're looking up to 305 rooms to be built in this facility. And here's what I like about it that's not written in here, because I asked, right? This is going to be, the rooms are going to be a 4-star quality or better. Also, I found out our rooms are going to have more square footage than the rooms at the MGM over there at National Harbor. So we're going to have more square footage and our rooms are going to look that much better. Listen, I'm not competing with them, but I'm just telling you, we're going to have something that's going to be nicer and better. Okay. All right. So we're looking at 40,000 square foot cultural arts, live entertainment, convention type center. You know, I always jokingly say that when I got elected in 2012 that, you know, I wanted to do summer concerts, and my vision was to bring a group called Frankie Beverly and Mays to come sing Happy Feelings in the air. So that was one of my big goals. We're going to have a parking garage structure there that's going to have 2,530 structured parking spaces. It's going to bring well over 600 jobs, right? That's the starting salaries there are going to be $15 an hour, right? Which takes the median household income up. If 2 people from the same household work there, it takes us up about $10,000 and makes us a little bit more competitive than where we was. The amount of tax revenue, not only for the town, but for the county and the state is going to be significant. We're looking at a $10 million projection just for the town budget, another $7 million to go to our folks up at the county. So they'll get an extra $7 million that they have the opportunity to reinvest back into the town of Dumfries and continue to help make us that great destination. Now, here's the best part about this whole thing. The town of Dumfries didn't have to give no tax incentives. We didn't have to give any breaks. All of this is 100% privately funded. Come on now. Somebody said we didn't have to give any, we had to get no tax breaks, which puts no burden on none of the tax burdens on the citizens or nobody else around. So they're going to improve the quality of life and they're going to generate additional revenue. How many know this is a win-win for everybody? Yes? Okay, good. I know y'all with me. So here's what the landfill currently looks like. It's being built, and right now they're building up high. As of December 31st, I think they're going to be in a position where they're going to cap this thing off, and they're going to be able. So that's not that big road up top. That's 95 currently, and that's what you see when you drive through there. It's totally, it's totally dilapidated. There's no commercial, no reason for people to come to the town. And quite frankly, it's an eyesore. It's been one of the biggest complaints economically that we've heard from people. And at times when they're digging and they're mining, sometimes they have to dig and move some of the lining. The sulfur from a lot of that drywall, you can smell it for like miles around when they have to dig that stuff up. So they'll cap it off, they'll line it, and they're responsible for monitoring that. Now, the layout for development looks as such. On this plot of land that you see there is set up for the gaming. On the other side, there's currently a trailer park that you have there. So we're going to build a big garage right there so that it creates a sound barrier and a light barrier for that community. And then the hotel and the gaming facility will sit on the front side. All right, so we're going to create a new road. If you look at the bottom of your screen, coming from Route 1 that'll cut up around the backside, as not to disturb all the people that live over there by taking a whole bunch of undue traffic through their neighborhood. So we'll come right on Main Street, which is two things for the people as we begin to develop Main Street and the Route 1 widening project. We'll be able to force traffic on our Main Street, which will then create a whole bunch of new business for all the shops that's going to want to come on Main Street as we begin to develop our Main Street, right? And so that's the big layout for it. All right, you can see the garage a little bit more detail, the gaming facility, the cultural arts center, and we'll be able to get roughly 1,500 seats in the cultural arts center, I believe, as the way it sits now. Which really, if they bring in any live entertainment and stuff like that, at the cost to them, it's at a loss. I know my folks at George Mason like to see 2,000 seats or above just before you start to make a profit on some of those type of events, which is probably why you see, like, if you go to MGM and you go to any of those events, you see those events are priced like double or triple what the normal cost of a concert or something that could be, because when you have those intimate settings, in order for them to make money to bring those type of people in, they have to charge that much more. Now, the public park concept, right now, again, today is the last day of the charrettes. Some things they're projecting is some type of open fields. We know that sports fields are major for the youth and the young people, like soccer fields, football fields, possibly tennis courts. We've been hearing heavy from the pickleball community who want to bring a pickleball tournament to the area. And so they have a certain amount of courts and stuff that they want. So that's been big. We're talking about maybe sports complex. The challenge is that no structures can be dug into the landfill. Like, you can't put nothing, you can't do any digging, you can't interrupt, you can't run any type of wire. So on that landfill, there can be no type of construction or nothing to do there. Again, there was an independent economic study done by Dr. Terry Clover of George Mason University. And I'm going to quote, I'm not even going to paraphrase, I'm going to read this quote verbatim. He said, "This resort will provide gaming entertainment options for Northern Virginia." He didn't say the town of Dumfries, but you think all of Northern Virginia. Most people now have to go to Maryland to do their gaming entertainment. They have to go to the MGM, or they got to go to Live, or they got to go to Baltimore. So now what we're going to do is we're going to recapture all of the money and the dollars that we were losing in the Commonwealth, and we're going to recapture that right here in the town of Dumfries. And we're going to give them high quality amenities, right? The days of Dumfries, like, so now I started off the story with telling you how Dumfries was established. It's because it's almost like I can say we're taking Dumfries back and we're making it like the economic center again in the area of Virginia. Like, it's an economic center again. So we're bringing high quality amenities and entertainment. And this is gonna, as I said, as Dr. Clover said, this will allow Virginia to recapture a sizable share of the entertainment spending that currently goes to the Maryland gaming venues. All right, so we're looking at close to 1,500 jobs. We're looking at almost $11 million in annual tax revenue. Our current budget that we receive in tax revenue in Dumfries currently as it stands is roughly 5 million. Right? So we're gonna almost 3x the budget. We're gonna send almost another $7 million to Prince William County because we are part of Prince William County. Right. And so that's going to be the economic impact of this one project. So what this makes this historic. We've seen nothing of this capacity of magnitude in this area of this region. I don't think since George Washington came down here to buy tobacco. So that's that's what we're looking at in this project. So that's where we're at here in the town of Dumfries as far as economic development. Now, as far as the future, so I told you where we come from. I told you where we at. Let me tell you why I want to go after that. So we're looking at sometime probably in January, we're looking that the developer wants to come in probably and break ground, which, you know, I think there'll be an announcement. We'll have a press release out. Everybody's invited to come and see this. This is a once in a lifetime type of investment in this area, as far as bringing over almost 1,500 jobs and the type of revenue it's going to bring in this area. It's a major retailer. It's a major driver of tourism and things back into a county that hasn't had this type of investment. I think it's since Potomac Mills built over there. So this is going to be something great for the community. I think the next thing we go back and look at is we have the potential and the opportunity in Dumfries then to change our focus now that we got Route 1, which is going to be a major economic development as far as bringing businesses, 2, the gaming facility, and then 3, we have the opportunity now to go back and look at the waterways. Our waterways have been neglected for so long. We just seen the county made a major investment in Neabsco Creek. So now Quantico Creek is I'm going to say it is the best next place to look at. Quantico Creek, put that on your radar. Listen, I'm gonna keep speaking this up. Y'all gonna hear me talk about this for the next 3-4 years, as long as they allow me to get reelected and stay in this. But Quantico Creek has a bunch of hydrilla. It has a lot of waste, and I think we can dredge that. Right, this is my vision going forward to really making us an economic powerhouse down here. If we get in here, we dredge Quantico Creek so that boats and stuff can get up in there off the Potomac. Now we have interconnectivity, right, to the harbor, to National Harbor, to Alexandria, and now we begin to bring in water commerce. And now the value on this east end of all the houses from Potomac Shores to Quantico, all the way Woodbridge, the value of it all goes up because now we have the opportunity to bring in some bigger and better things to that. So that's where we came from. That's where we are now. That's where I would like to see us go. That's economic development in a 5-minute, 2-minute drill, as you would see on ESPN Monday night with Michael Berman. It's a little longer than 2 minutes, but I gave it to y'all. Thank y'all for listening. God bless. Good night. See y'all later. Don't tease it. Don't tease it. I'm sitting here. I didn't go anywhere.
Mayor, appreciate it. We appreciate it. Margot, are there no
Wait,
questions?
let me bring Mr. Rogers. Can you come on for a second? Just want to see if you had anything else that you might want to add, because I think, you know, you got to give credit to the people behind the scenes, and most of that has been able to happen, right? Because it takes, somebody to have the vision, but when you got a visionary and somebody with all these ideas, you got to have somebody that can run these plays, because I believe we can do bigger, we can do better, and I'm imagining. So Mr. Rogers, will you add to the equation?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I certainly know better than to try to follow behind you in speaking. But I just want to, number one, say thank you for your leadership and for trusting me and the team to be able to get the job done. That's number one. The second thing that I wanted to say is, and I can't believe that sometimes we forget to mention this when we talk about this project, but the developer has agreed to also allow the town to put a public safety center within the development. And, you know, in the midst of a pandemic, public safety has risen to the forefront for a plethora of reasons over the last 3 years. But you mentioned several times about how important this project is to the region. And what we hope to do with that public safety center is to run our special operations for our police police department out of there. We'll also be able to assist with site security. But when we think about public safety in Northern Virginia, we also have to think about regional traffic monitoring and weather monitoring and things of that nature. So that will really be a benefit to not only the town, but to the entire region. And I just wanted to say, I was hoping that I would see Supervisor Angry this morning. So I had my bow tie on today.
That's good. All right, Ross, the floor is yours now.
Perfect. No, I appreciate it so much. Do we have any questions for Mayor Wood?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Hey, first of all, I love that bow tie, Keegan. So I'm without one today. So you got me. Mayor Wood, thank you very much for this presentation, because one thing that you said that I think is so key and critical for all of us leaders is your historical knowledge of the town of Dumfries. I think everything we do is in the backstory, and how we move forward lies in where we come from in the past. And your mission and focus of making the town of Dumfries a destination, a place to what you're saying, a place to
Don't drive through Dumfries, drive to Dumfries.
to Dumfries. Yeah. Now I'm interested in your history and knowledge of the channel, how the ships used to come in, and then the whole sediment setting. I'm going to be messing up the terms of that, but in your vision, there we go. Because that, everybody knows that waterfront is critically important, and that's one of the things that makes towns, cities, counties attractive, when you have all of this trail opportunities for parks and waterways, and just the whole experience. I think we're going through that in Potomac Shores, in the Potomac District, with Supervisor Bailey, and that opportunity of creating that environment there. So how do you envision, and what's the timeline? Because that stuff doesn't happen overnight. What's the timeline as you see? Because I know your first achievement and accomplishment is the casino, because that's definitely a huge part. And thank you, Mr. Rogers, for pointing out that public safety piece and tying all that together. And then the next has to probably follow up with this whole concept of clearing out and dredging that area and getting that back to what it was probably, about 100 years ago.
No, it's before the Civil War.
Wow.
So you're looking about the 19th century that all got dried up and dredged out. And so when you look at, like, if you even go back and look at Prince William County, you had a whole population exodus out of Prince William County and Dumfries. So the population growth didn't start happening again until around after the Civil War. And you look at, then we had a mine down here. A lot of they had renamed Batestown, and they started calling it Mine Road, because the pirate mine came in there around the early 20th century, right? And so that's kind of like where you see that kind of history. Now, as far as the waterways is coming, what probably has to happen is a committee will have to get formed, right? Independent of what we're doing in Dumfries. Somebody, because we just don't have the staff and the manpower here to really focus on that. We have Brett Colson, who has been pretty major on a lot of the historic aspects of what's happening down here. And he found a Union entrance that they're actually going to put up there when they build the new roads project. So they'll have some memorials to the Union soldiers that went over there, but found out he used to work for the Coast Guard, right? And what's important about that is the Coast Guard does a lot of the dredging projects, right? And so he has worked on numerous dredging projects around the nation because of his work with the Coast Guard. And so, man, I even talked about this. I need, Mr. Rogers probably hearing some of this for the first time. So I'll probably have a conversation with him about really standing up his own little committee to just do the research federally, because he already knows, when you look at a project of this type of magnitude for dredging, you're gonna need help from the federal, we're gonna need help from the state, we're gonna need help from the county level, and just with other resources, because this will be a major lift for something that hasn't been dredged or touched in this many years. And there's a huge infrastructure bill that we know that they just passed up on the Hill, right? And then we know that a Biden administration is doing a major dredging project in the Hampton Roads area, right? In the channel that's happening there. I've been keeping up with a little bit of dredging news. I'm not that well versed and that educated on a lot of this stuff, but I hear on the streets from here and there about that type of stuff. So this type of project could take some time because it hasn't even been started. This is just in the mayor talking about it stage, right? I'm just putting it in the atmosphere and saying, here is the vision, like I did when I got elected in 2012 about making Dumfries a destination place. Here it is 2021, and what I talked about in 2012 is just now starting to happen. So everything starts, right? We know with a vision, right? And the vision now is to recapture the waterways in Dumfries. And so that'll be kind of like the main initiative. If the people want to keep me here next year, right, it says, hey, we need to reelect you, you need to stay, then that'll be kind of like the focus there.
Got it.
And Ross, if I could,
Yeah.
I don't want to, because I know we it's already 10:15, and I just, if I could quickly just add to that, you know, because last night we just stood up a sustainability commission, right? And when I say that, because Fort Belvoir in a presentation they gave, were talking about how they're returning nature back to nature. So a lot of the waterways down at Belvoir, they're actually removing some of the things and going back to the natural environment, and that's helping a lot of this eroding. And you know, when we start talking about the environment, I just feel like the timing of this, what you're saying, is a great timing opportunity between the county and other localities to really start looking at this and investing in it now. You know, the whole Build Back Better from federal, and there's some funds out there that we can really look at, because I know that folks would love to see that put back in its original state. And we've destroyed a lot of that through the ironworks that I have over here in my district. You know, at one point they cut down all the trees. Those ships used to come into that port that you're talking about. So the opportunity exists that we can get this back on track to where it was. And I think it'd be a beautiful thing for really Prince William County and the nation. I'll stop there.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, Dumfries is a part of Prince William County. We're just the largest town in the county. You know, we're the most progressive.
So one of the questions we have in the chat box, and then we probably have to finish up, is Mayor Wood, do you foresee allowing food truck owners to be a part of events in the future?
Oh, I think we can see them being a part of everything we do right now. You know, we have a policy that allows for food trucks in our what do you call it? In our ordinances. We already we allow for food trucks to be a part of all our events. So, you know, come down. Like we got an ice skating rink, you know, this is to plug the parade. We have a parade for those who just joined us. We got a parade happening this Saturday, 10 o'clock, right on Main Street, leading down to the town hall. At the end of the parade, there's going to be an ice skating rink. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for those who got a food truck to send a message to Keith Rogers and say, hey, I want to bring my food truck out. It's going to be there for this weekend and next weekend. So 2 consecutive weekends. We'll have a free ice skating rink. Bring your kids out here. The parade is going to be probably one of the biggest parades we've seen in this region in a while. We're bringing in, like, when you hear about high school marching bands, the Eastern High School Marching Band rivals most colleges around. I mean, they really battle it out. So when you talk about, like, we almost can have a battle in the bands in the park. And then Bowie State was just on tour with a guy called Master P. I don't know if you guys know this guy, but he says, nah. That's kind of like the thing he does. And so this band went on tour with this guy who is a no limit soldier. And so we're bringing in these 2 major bands, as well as our very own Freedom High School, which they'll get to see how they do it on the DC scale and be able to have something to kind of inspire to, as well as the George Mason Marching Band. So that all tied into the food trucks, just to let y'all know, we got a major parade happening in the town of Dumfries. And if you haven't made plans to be here on Saturday, I hope you're locking it in your schedule right now to get down here about 9 and get your seat along the parade route.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Mayor Wood, thank you so much for joining today. I think it's been a very fun and interesting history and future lesson, I guess it is. So again, thank you so much. Wishing everybody a happy holidays. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm pretty sure everybody has my email in Prince William County, Manassas Park, Town of Dumfries, everybody else by now, given the number of emails that go out under my name. But if you do not have it, that is rsnare@pwchamber.org. Again, wishing you all a very happy holidays, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much, Mayor Wood, and everybody have a good rest of the day.
Mayor Wood. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
have a good day.
You guys were phenomenal.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.